Hi there. Speaking on behalf of Hunter Pence, my name is Daron Sutton, and it's another great week of perfect game college baseball. And there's almost a blushing going on, if you will, of joy and excitement of our two guests. I mean, it's just the best way I know to put it. And our producer, Jim Jenks, really set us up this week. Alex Mooney, in the heart of the pandemic in 2020, when the All-American Classic was pieced together and it was played beautifully, although with a lot of challenges in Oklahoma City, Alex Mooney out of Michigan was the most valuable player. The baseball world, the amateur baseball world, fell in love with him then. The way he played the game, his athleticism. Think Trey Turner. That's Alex Mooney. Now he's at Duke. Now he's an incredible player. He's done it for a couple of years. We'll have a conversation with him. Back in 2019, the year before, the national showcase for perfect game was at Chase Field. And there's an athlete that stood out because of his speed, but also his class. Enrique Bradfield Jr. was a South Florida man who went up to Vanderbilt to play his college baseball. He shattered just about every stolen base record since then that you can think about. He promises to be a very high pick coming up in the middle of July in MLB's amateur draft. Those two are our guests. Again, I am thrilled to have a conversation with each one of them. On behalf of Hunter Pence, who'll be back with us next week. And also, Craig Cozart will join us. He'll take us deep inside the world of college baseball. Who's setting themselves up to host? Who's setting themselves up to maybe have an opportunity to sneak in onto that bubble, then into the postseason tournaments? Glad to have you with us on Perfect Game College Baseball on Perfect Game TV. Let's get it going. For me, it's fun to reunite with athletes that we saw when they were high school players, travel ball players, and then onward and upward as men they go and doing amazing things. And there's no better example than Alex Mooney, what he has done at Duke, what his baseball team has accomplished at Duke. And I'm sure he'll tell me the expectations he has had, as he did at Orchard Lake St. Mary's Prep just outside of Detroit. He has now at Duke in the classroom as well. The Perfect Game All-American Classic most valuable player, Alex Mooney, spends time with us now. Alex, thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So it's interesting. Another great achiever on the diamond on your campus is Anna Gold. She plays softball. And the interesting part of my conversation that I just had with her not too long ago was about the expectations of putting on any piece of Duke gear, whether it be I'm wearing a Duke jersey, I play softball. In your case, you wear a baseball jersey. In your mind, in your perception, what are some of the expectations of being a Duke athlete, putting on that uniform and representing that school from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Duke carries a large reputation around it, a high academic place with a lot of good people. So anytime you put on a Duke jersey, you know you're representing those people, not only just athletes, but normal students at the school who are obviously geniuses and are going to go affect the world in good ways. And then you're putting on the jersey, you're representing the people who have come before you. So it's obviously a big honor, and it's something that people don't really take for granted, but also don't take lightly. And yeah, like I said, it's pretty cool to put on the Duke D every day.
This, well said. I like that. The Duke D, putting it on every day. Alex, it's interesting. You've walked just about as many times as you have struck out this year. I love diving into numbers, but I can't help myself as a geek who played the game as well. About that 7-6 win you guys had over Louisville, I'm sure you've talked about it a lot a couple of weeks back, in which you had a 5-walk game. I don't know that I've ever heard of a 5-walk game, and you put on your spikes each day to knock it in the alley. I know what you're trying to do. I get it, and fly around the bases. But what goes into the patience being shown to have a game like that?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to be 100% honest with you, I've never had a 5-walk game before then either. So that was a first for me. But you know, I was seeing the ball really well at the plate. I had a couple good at bats early in the game, worked a couple 3-2 counts, and then my one at bat, I hit a homer, so I was feeling really well. You know, I was seeing the ball well, like I said, and then last two ABs just kind of didn't really get anything to hit, and then got the intentional walk to get a force out in the ninth. So you know, I wasn't really too upset with it. It was something that I was actually happy with, and just putting myself in the position to either steal bags or you know, get other guys to the plate so they can drive me in is something that I always take pride in. And it wasn't more about me getting 5 walks. It was more me about getting to first base and then hopefully getting to second base and someone else driving me in.
It's interesting, and you're at a Power 5 school, but we've seen, Alex, not just at Power 5 schools. To me, over the last half decade, we've seen college programs really act as developmental agents for the athletes. You've seen guys, you know, come out of like Zach Neto's a great example, playing for the Angels Heck, he was playing at your level last year. And so I ask you to look back on your time. Look, it was, am I going pro? Am I going to college? You went through that same, question and answer that you have for yourself. Speak to the development you've been able to do by being a college baseball player, and specifically at Duke.
Yeah, I think the development is something that I definitely wouldn't have gotten if had I not gone to college, and I'm very grateful for it. And so when I got here, like most freshmen, it was kind of a little shock to me. And you're waking up at 7 a.m., going to two classes that aren't easy every day, and then going to practice for 3 hours, and going to lift afterwards. And then after lift, it's homework time and getting all your assignments and stuff like that. So it's definitely something that I wasn't used to when I got here, but I've really developed processes and kind of these habits to help me get through it. And I don't think that I would have gotten there anywhere else besides Duke. And I think it's really prepared me for school and baseball at the next level, but also just life in general, and being able to have these good habits and these good processes that are the same every day and don't really keep me, one way or the other. They kind of keep me locked in on what I got to do every day. And like I said, I think it's really helped me a lot throughout my career. And it's something that I don't think I would have got anywhere else.
What a great, honest answer. I'm going to ask that of you again. Where do you feel like you fell short the most when you arrived on a college campus and you thought, oh boy, and maybe that's life. I'm not just talking about baseball. I may address baseball in a minute, where you thought, okay, this is an area where, dude, I have to do quite a bit of growing in my life, and you've been able to do it in these last 2 years.
Yeah, I think sleep and nutrition is something that you don't really like worry about in high school, if you will. It's kind of just something that you do every day. Like, you eat your meals here, like you have your school lunch, you have a snack before practice, stuff like that. But once I got to college, I really realized how important it was to sleep 8 hours a day and to get 4 meals a day, especially a guy like me. I'm always trying to put on weight. And so getting 4 meals a day and eating in a calorie surplus is something that I'm really it's really important to me. And I wasn't very good at it when I got here, but I've really gotten a lot better at it. So I got meal plans, and I know I got to eat at this time, I got to eat at this time, I got to eat after this class, got to eat after practice, stuff like that. And then knowing when to put the phone down, when to turn off the TV and stuff like that and get to bed. Because for me, I think I've really locked in on my sleep. It's something that I really like to be good at. It makes me feel good. I feel like it makes me perform at my best. And so that's something that I wasn't very good at before I got here, but I've really gotten a lot better at.
So you can't eat like a Jets pizza at 11 p.m. now. Is that correct?
I mean, for me, I try to eat as much as I can, so I'll take a Jets pizza at 11 p.m. But it's really
Yes.
the issue for me comes when I'm not eating a Jets pizza at 11 p.m. and I'm waiting until the next morning, and then you go out and you lose 2 pounds. So just trying to eat as much as I can, get as many calories in me.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, that's a local flavor for all you viewers out there. For someone who
Yes, sir.
myself who's been to Michigan a million times, that good old fashioned Jets pizza. Now, on the baseball side, Alex, what part of your game do you feel like when I arrived here in the ACC, right there with a bunch of studs like myself, that you're playing that way now? What area did you realize quickly, this is where I have to grow the most as far as my game is concerned? And you have.
Yeah, I feel like my ability to hit for power is something that I've really worked on. Last year, I obviously struggled out the gates, not even just hitting for power, but just hitting in general, and I was striking out a lot, doing stuff like that. And I think part of that was just me trying to do too much, and also not being super, used to ACC pitching. Obviously, it's one of, if not the best conference in college baseball, and so you go out there every Friday night and you're getting a good pitcher, and so that's not something that I was used to, but as I've gone on and as my career's gone on, I've gotten a lot more used to it, a lot more comfortable with my approach and stuff like that. And then we got a new hitting coach this year, and so we've been working a lot together in the off season, trying to get more balls in the air and hitting balls harder. And I feel like it's really helped. I think I doubled my home run total from last year, got a lot of doubles, triples, stuff like that. So obviously I'm not really a huge stat guy. I don't try to worry too much about that, but I feel like I'm hitting the ball harder and hitting in the air more, and that's what's most important to me.
Your new hitting coach, remind me his name?
Eric Tyler. We actually hit together a little bit last year. He had a hitting facility like 10 minutes from campus, so we would hit together last year a little bit, and then he actually got hired this year as our actual hitting coach. So we have a really good relationship, and it's been pretty cool to work with him.
So he spoke a language that in some ways got inside your head, maybe that a lot of us wouldn't understand. What are some of the methods maybe that you have adopted that are newer that Coach Tyler has brought to the table?
Me and ET, we just, like I said, we're really comfortable with each other. So he kind of has the ability to bounce things off of me, and if I don't like it, then I'm comfortable enough to say, like, I'm not really liking this. And so we've kind of tried a lot of different things, and haven't really changed my swing too much, just kind of little minute details here and there to help me kind of get the juice that I feel like I have. And so whether it's drill work like angled BP or off speed machine, stuff like that, like I said, he's just been bouncing things off me. We're trying to figure out what works and what's most comfortable to me.
I love how baseball people always have to give nicknames and shorten names. I grew up when my father played, I played. He went from Eric Tyler to Coach Tyler, which I added. You just nailed him at ET, which actually in many ways works well. That's kind of a fun thing.
Yeah, I don't think anyone calls me Alex either. I believe I'm only Moon on this team. So there's that. Yeah.
Moon Man. Does anyone ever go with Moon Man? Add the man or just Moon?
It's really just Moon, but
and you approve of that?
I get new nicknames on every team I'm on. Sometimes it's Al, sometimes it's Moon, whatever it is, I don't care.
Okay, well, I like Moon better than Al, with all due respect to whoever gave you the Al nickname.
Yeah, no problem.
So I have to ask you to go back in time, because during the pandemic, I had 3 years in with PG as doing this at that point, and it was crazy, it was weird, it was different. And you played in the All-American Classic, and you went and got out as much as you could. Michigan was shut down city. California was shut down city. So was New York. But you found a way to play a lot that summer. What do you recall about the interesting, unique, at times challenging and scary summer of 2020 as it pertains to baseball?
I mean, that was one of the most fun summers of my life. I can tell you that much. I think part of it was just being cooped up in the house for so long, and then finally getting out and going to play with some of the guys that you like to play with. And I played for Canes National, so there was guys from everywhere, all different types, walks of life. And so I got to kind of cross paths with those guys, meet them, talk to them, learn what kind of slang they say in California or Georgia or South Carolina, whatever it is. And so obviously it was a difficult summer. There was a lot of precautions that we had to go through, and guys testing positive here and there, so they got to take the week off, quarantine, all that type of stuff. But I think it was a really cool summer, and I think Perfect Game did a really good job of keeping players safe, but also allowing guys to get out and show what they kind of worked on over quarantine and over the off season. So it wasn't a full waste of a year.
There's that long, lean athleticism that Trey Turner has that combines power and speed that, who am I, but that I see in you. Who do you love to watch in the big leagues where you think, I relate to that athlete just a little bit, either I'm built like him or I like his swing? Who do you love to watch play in the big leagues?
Yeah, Trey Turner, obviously America's shortstop after this WBC, is someone that I like to watch a little bit. Like you said, a little bit of power, a little bit of speed is something that I try to have in my game. And then Jeter was someone that I always grew up watching, especially he's from Michigan. So always grew up watching him. His leadership skills and the way he plays the game is something that I've always loved. And I wore number 2 growing up, so it was something that I definitely tried to emulate.
Well, that's a guy that transcends, right? He's been done playing for a long, long time, and yet you're a kid compared to him. And I feel like there's a handful of athletes that are able to transcend, that even when their careers are over, athletes still look up to them. The Michigan thing is a great tie as well. Hey, Alex, thanks for spending time. I want to remind our viewers, too, the Deemer box, make sure and go look that up online. And also Poppy Soda, dude. The Poppy Soda test is worth taking. I love the world of NIL. I love seeing you guys build your relationships. Those two partners, that has to be fun, right, for you?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I actually enjoy making the ads and trying to get creative with it, writing a little script, stuff like that. So yeah, check out Deemer Box, check out Poppy, get yours today. You can go to my Instagram and see all the details, all the ads, all that type of stuff.
Boom! I love it. I love these guys. They're pitchmen already. Alex, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
They call him Moon on campus, and he's been very special to watch at Duke. It's a really exciting future that he has. We hope all the way up, like Trey Turner did, going to the big leagues, coming out of that very same conference. This is Perfect Game College Baseball. When we come back, a conversation with another speedy, talented, and gifted player. It's Enrique Bradfield Jr., the pride of Vanderbilt. This is Perfect Game College Baseball. You're watching Perfect Game TV. It's that unique combination of skill defensively, speed, and then the book smarts in the classroom. This is 2 shows where we've been able to do interviews in a row in succession with athletes like Alex Mooney at Duke and now Enrique Bradfield Jr. at Vanderbilt. And Enrique spends time with us now. My friend, thanks for reconnecting.
Oh, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here.
And it's funny, we did just talk with Alex about that, the concept of being the well-rounded athlete. And it's no offense to other schools, none is intended, but when you go to Duke and you take on the academic schedule, when you go to Vanderbilt and you take on the academic schedule, there's just more that you're developing as an athlete. Is that safe to say?
I would definitely agree that's safe to say. The Vanderbilt academics are definitely a challenge, especially also being that we're playing a sport here. So just having to learn how to manage your time is something that's crucial. And basically the faster you can get done and the more organized you can be with your academics will allow you to free up time and be able to put work into your craft and better yourself that way. So it's a very well managed process that has to be in place for you to really have the time to want to succeed.
So did you find that early on when you arrived from American Heritage that was something you had to have a quick uptick in, and that was managing your time? Did you find that was something you better bear down upon or you wouldn't grow? Did you find that?
Definitely. Your first couple weeks here is also very challenging just because you're in a new environment. You're surrounded in the place with new people. You have to learn where your classes are, how to get around campus, what time you need to wake up, what time you need to leave, get breakfast, manage all the minor things, really plan out your days to be able to try and make things as smooth as possible. So it's always a new challenge coming into a new environment.
In a year in which everyone's watching you even more closely, and you've earned that right, even how you've evolved from a high school player now at Vanderbilt, how have you enjoyed that attention? And understand what I mean. You don't lavish in it. You don't, look for it. But how have you enjoyed interacting with professionals, meaning scouts? How have you enjoyed understanding that people are discussing the next step for you? How have you been able to use all of that for a positive?
It's just embracing every experience that I have, being able to talk to people with different perspectives, learn new things about the game. This is a game where you're never really done learning. And it's like, whether I was in high school and I'm a junior now, 5 years down the road, it's like I'll always be looking for that next thing and learning about the game. And the game changes every single day and has been changing quite rapidly over the last year, 2 years. So it's just being able to talk to people with great amounts of experience in our game to be able to learn from them.
So for you, too, you're also trying to win a College World Series, and you guys are number 6 in the RPI. You guys have played very, very well against elite teams. When you look at your team as someone who is now one of the leaders on that team, what are you most proud of when you go top to bottom? Even the last guy on the depth chart who still is cheering his throat off, making sure he supports you when you're on the field. When you look at Vanderbilt 2023, what are you most proud of?
I'm just proud of the connection that we've been able to build. Since the year started in August, it's been right away. We wanted to set a good foundation because we had a tough year last year and we didn't like how the year ended. So coming back this year, we have 8 amazing seniors that we've been able to fall on their shoulders, 2 grad students. We have, I think, 7 juniors as well. So it's a great amount of experience in the room from 3, 4, and 5-year players that we've been able to kind of blend that together and then help incorporate the first and the second-year players into what we really want for this team. So just the connection that we've been able to build has been amazing. We're finishing up school now, and this is a time for us where we get to spend every single moment together, and that's just special, whether it has to do with baseball or it doesn't. It's guys that are just getting together and spending time together. So it's pretty special for me to be a part of this.
You like the leadership part of the role? Is this something that suits you?
I think it is. I've just been able to learn a great amount from Coach Corbin and the rest of the staff here that has been able to put me in positions to be able to help lead the group. But it's a collective effort from everybody. You don't have to just be a fourth year or third year player to lead. You could be a freshman and you could be a leader. It's something that you really have to make a choice if you want to do. So that's where I stand in that.
So from when I watched you the very first time back in 2019 at Chase Field, which is just down the road from here in Phoenix at the National Showcase, to where you are now, you were fast then and you were a good outfielder then. But describe, and you can be mechanical in your description, some of the areas of your mechanics, how much and how you've improved in route running, in catching the baseball in the outfield, where us pitchers are thrilled that you're there. What areas of that have you seen the greatest improvement as a defender in running your routes?
I've just been able to see the most improvement and probably my awareness being out there. It's always being able to know where you are and where you are, like who's surrounding you on the field, what's surrounding you. It's just being able to maybe take or create a different angle so that I can see the ball in the wall at the same time. It's smaller things like that just the everyday process of taking reps out there, taking live batting practice, fielding my own position during that segment has been able to provide me with the most game type reps. You can do all the smaller drills and stuff like that to warm up, but there's honestly nothing better you can do to prepare to play than to sit there and take an aggressive shagging BP. That has been able to, for pretty much every day for the past 3 years, that's what it's been. And it's just been able to help me grow in a tremendous way. And whenever I talk to our younger outfielders and they're like, hey, I want to get better out there, how can I do it? And I'm like, well, that's the one segment a day where you can really figure out what you can and you can't do. You can lay out for this ball, but maybe you shouldn't lay out for it in this scenario. Okay, when I'm getting closer to the wall, maybe I angle myself off so I'm not just running blindly out there. You know where the wall is and you know where the ball is. You can position yourself to make a jump in a certain direction, knowing that that's going to help you maintain more control of your body. It's certain things like that I've just been able to take pride in understanding and learning, and that's kind of why I feel like my game has grown on like in the defensive area.
Is it true, Enrique? Is it true what they say? I never had your athletic skill, though I played a little bit professionally. Where I've seen it happen is standing in front of a room of 1,000 people and speaking, where I'm able to, quote unquote, slow the game down and be comfortable in my delivery. Is it true when we see you aggressive, flying, arms flailing, on the move, and it almost looks violent at times, whether it be a dive or using a wall, that you, inside of your body and your mind, are actually moving a lot slower per se mentally than we see? Are you able to slow that part of making a great catch down?
I would definitely say I can slow myself down out there, but that's just only because I'm really anticipating what's going to happen. It's like pre-pitch. I've already thought through every possible scenario in that one moment in time. It's like if I have a runner on, I know how fast he is. I know the type of speed that's in the box at the plate. I know where my defenders are. So it's all those different factors that come into play. It's like I'm just merely anticipating what's going to happen next, and I'm ready for anything. So by doing that, I'm able to slow myself down mentally before going out there and making a nice catch.
In the box, is there a part of your approach, your mechanics, something that you have seen evolve over the last year, from when you hit August, as you said, to now, where you say, Sut, this part of my approach has been beneficial to me? Everyone, I think, wants to talk about your base stealing, and I could spend all day because I'm intrigued. But you can't steal first, said the old man, and that's a simple thing. But is there a part of your approach or mechanics within the box that you've seen evolve for the positive?
I think just my general plate discipline has been something that I've been proud of. I think I'm getting close to. I think I walked more times already than I did all of last year, and that's something that I take pride in. It's okay. It's nice to get the hits, but at the same time, for me to touch first base any way possible, I'm gonna touch first base because that can turn into a double or a triple. Whether I get a hit, whether I walk, I get hit by a pitch. It doesn't really matter for me as long as I touch first base. That's the most important thing for me in the box. So that's where my mind is.
I was one of those guys, so I want to ask you this. You're not, to me, being disrespectful when you answer it. Can you see the angst? Can you see the angst in the pitcher? Not all pitchers, but can you see the angst once you stand on first base and you're listening to your coach and you're surveying the defense and you're watching your third base coach, but then all of a sudden, can you notice that angst in the pitcher because you're there?
In some scenarios, I can. It's just a matter of exactly who it is, and it's like sometimes I know that they're gonna feel a certain way before I even get out there because we've done the scouting report and we know, hey, this pitcher doesn't really like to throw the ball. He doesn't feel comfortable throwing the ball. So it's just stuff that I can go into a game knowing to help me prepare and just be able to go out there and be free.
Love it. That's like why I take notes, so I can talk to you. You know, it's like you do all that. I love that. That's a foot on the neck moment too, because if you know that it's something that gives a certain pitcher angst, maybe he's a power pitcher and he really wants to focus on his craft of throwing 98, and the last thing he wants to do is deal with you. That must be fun. When you look back on your high school and travel ball journey, how warmly do you do so? For us, as I said, I loved my conversations we had back in 2019, but the elite squad, the opportunity to play in high school at American Heritage, how warmly do you look back on that foundation of your baseball life?
Well, for me, that's a lot of those experiences that I experienced with elite squad and in high school. They kind of created the baseline for my foundations and pretty much everything I do. There's a lot of times where I'm able to go back and reflect on how I felt in certain moments. And those moments are driving factors in what I do today and how I do it. So it's definitely been important to be able to sit back and reflect. I think there's always a piece of reflection that can be useful going forward. You know, the only way you're really going to learn from your past experiences if you take the time to sit down and break them down, understand how and why you felt a certain way in that moment, and then move forward and build something on that.
Dude, you had a 500 on base percentage in a week playing in Jupiter your senior year. That's a big deal. That had to be a fun event to go play in and perform at Jupiter.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing just because it's the biggest event around that time of year. You have all the best competition, so you know you're going to face the best players, and you're just playing with a ton of guys who you've either played against or you played with growing up, and it's just fun to be out there and compete. It's like I'm a competitor, so if you put me in an environment, I'm not going to back away or back down from any challenge.
I'd love to hear the grown man expound upon an answer he gave me when he was a young man. Folks, I asked him back in 2019, Enrique, who inspires you, whether as a person, a student, or an athlete? Please describe why and give it some thought. I have to remind high schoolers to please give this some thought because that happens at a younger age. Here's what he said, and he gave it some thought. Enrique said, and I quote, "My family inspires me. My parents have made so many sacrifices to be where I am today. I play for them to make them proud. They drive me to be a better athlete, but overall, a much better person in a single word." We're talking about your mom and dad, Jenny and Enrique. That was your answer in 2019. You can now take it further if you don't mind.
It will never change. As long as I'm doing what I'm doing and living, I will always feel the same way. And actually, this past weekend was a very special moment for me, being that my grandmother and my aunt, for the first time, we live down the street from each other, but because of health reasons and just everything with the pandemic, this is the first time this past weekend that they were able to fly to Nashville and come watch me play and spend the weekend. So just being able to put that piece and just give them the opportunity to do something that they've never done before was special for me.
What a blessing. Wow. I'm moved by that answer. That's goosebumps. Congratulations. That's the stuff that really matters. So congratulations on moments like that, what you've accomplished. Can't wait to see, if you guys go ahead and win that College World Series, and then in July, see where your place of employment may be at the major league level. So congratulations on all you accomplished all the way back from 18 and 19 when we connected. Super thrilled to have been a tiny part of watching your journey, my friend.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to sit here and talk to you. I'm sure I will be doing it again soon.
Yeah, you will be. You absolutely will be. Enrique Bradfield at Vanderbilt. They're doing amazing things under the watchful eye of Coach Corbin. We'll dial down deep into what's going on. Craig Cozart joins us all around college baseball. Where does Enrique's team and others sit as we get closer to postseason? This is Perfect Game College Baseball on Perfect Game TV. You can't call yourself a scout and come on with credibility if, in fact, you don't join us ever on occasion from the road.
On the road.
That's where Craig Cozart comes in, on the road, safely parked, but out there finding the best talent, looking at college players and college programs around the country. And by the way, being a dad, let's be honest, that's part of it as well. Craig spends time with us. Now, Cozy, thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, Daron, great to see you. Thanks for having me.
So when we look at the rankings, and I told Jim, our producer, this, it seems almost unfair. Those that are up in the penthouse, we don't talk about them every week because they're just up in the penthouse. Certainly if they tumble like 2 weeks ago, we'll mention them.
Yeah,
but we like to talk about the new kids. And this week you add Clemson, you add Northeastern, and you add Cal State Fullerton to the rankings. We don't have to dive deep on one by one, but here's what I find interesting as you guys do the rankings for our viewers that I find intriguing. You get a team like Clemson, they've played 24 Q1 games, right? They play in a great conference. They played 24 of them. You get a team like Fullerton, a little lower down, but they're out west. They're seeing the other teams. They're coming to play Pac teams. They've played 15. Northeastern's played six Q1 games. Now they've won them all, which is crazy, right? But it's fun how you guys find a spot for all of those teams with different kinds of schedules.
Yeah. Well, starting with Clemson, they just couldn't be denied this week. They've won 4 consecutive conference series in the ACC. They're really starting to click. And, we are paying close attention to the RPI right now. And all of a sudden they're 12 in RPI, which that means they've got an opportunity to host if the season were to end today. So they're 28-17, 11-10 now in conference play. And I got a chance to see them firsthand last weekend. And I was very impressed with a couple things. First and foremost, Caden Grice is a beast. 6'5", 230 pounds, massive power. And just in conference play alone, he's got 8 home runs and 28 RBIs, but he's also 4-1 on the mound. So another two-way guy that came out of nowhere. He didn't pitch his first 2 years at Clemson, and he's been really, really special on the mound. But the thing that's really good about Clemson is you can see that Eric Backage and his staff have got that team buying in, and they made tremendous offensive adjustments. I saw them play against NC State. NC State starting rotation, they have plus changeups across the board. They're off-speed heavy. And, they did some things offensively, not to, put a scouting report out on NC State, but they made adjustments that I hadn't seen other teams make from an offensive standpoint and went into Raleigh and swept them. So Clemson deserves it. We jumped them in at 18, which is obviously from unranked to 18 is pretty significant, but their body of work is really, really good right now. And I know you're particularly excited about Cal State Fullerton being into the rankings. Now, we need to remind our viewers, you and I talked about them about 4 or 5 weeks ago, right? And we said, you know what?
Yes.
We feel like they're back. And fortunately, they've proven us right. Got to give Jason Dietrich and his staff a ton of credit. They're playing the game with a lot of belief, with a lot of passion. They understand what they are as a team. They've gotten into conference play, and their performance on the mound has significantly improved. They've decreased their ERA as a team by over 0.5 point in conference play. Their slugging percentage and their batting average is up in conference play, and they sit atop the Big West. 42 in RPI, which is a little bit concerning right now, but that's going to continue to trend upward. They're 17-4 in the league, and this team just knows how to win. If you look at their stats, nothing jumps out at you except for their record, especially within league play.
So, and I'm just intrigued beyond belief by Northeastern. As we said, they move into the rankings for you guys at 23. They played 6 Q1 games, 50 or better. Duke, Indiana State, BC, UConn, they've beat them all when you talk about those foes. As a matter of fact, Indiana State's a team that's like 10 or 11 in the RPI. That's one of their losses through the year. So tell us about Northeastern and their body of work.
Yeah, so we had them in the rankings fairly early, and then they ran through just a little bit of a rough patch. But I believe they're second in the nation in wins at 35. They play on the road the majority of the time. I got to see them I got to see them opening weekend. And the thing that really jumps out at you about Northeastern is they are tough. They are blue collar. They grind out at bats like very few clubs do. They have some pop in the middle of their lineup, and they've pitched at a pretty high level. They're strike throwers. They compete. They just don't give you anything. And the Colonial is a good league. So, that league is really, really special, this year, and looks like it has a chance to have multiple bids. So for Northeastern to have a significant lead in the regular season standings in that league, we just felt like, they've proven themselves time and time again. They're tough. They're consistent. They're blue collar. They have 35 wins to 7 losses, so they deserve to be ranked as well.
Kansas State is 13-8 on the road. They were at home this past weekend against Texas Tech. They took 2 of 3. They've still got to keep climbing, but they helped themselves. They're 57 in the RPI. Just a quick drop-in, if you don't mind, on a team that people like me at times overlook, and that's Kansas State.
Yeah. I didn't like this club very much in February, just to be honest. I've known Pete Hughes for a long, long time. And if there's one thing that you know about Pete Hughes, he used to be at Virginia Tech. He's going to get the most out of his players. He's from the Northeast. He's no nonsense. He's really tough. And kids are going to come into his program, and they're either going to embody what he expects, or they're just not going to make it. And that's not, trying to be, pass any judgment. That's just reality of it. He runs his program like he runs his program. Those kids come in there, they get tougher, they get better. And Kansas State's making some noise. And let's be honest, the Big 12, who knows what to expect out of this league right now? It's really up for grabs. It could be a 2-bid league. It could be a 5-bid league. It just really depends on these last 3 weeks.
So your player of the week, North Carolina, Mac Horvath, I remember him being on the bubble of being an All-American. He was one of those, oh boy, it's 2020, I'm not going to get drafted guys. So he went on to college. He had an incredible week. You guys named him as the Rawlings player of the week this past week in North Carolina, 9 for 16, scored 7 times. There's speed in his game. Take it a little further as to why he earned that honor.
Yeah, I've seen Mac play quite a bit ever since his freshman year. And I'm amazed at how he's transformed his body. He was a little bit of a heavier-footed kid as a freshman. And now, he plays like Honeycutt does in center field. They have 2 guys that can absolutely cover ground. It's insane. But his power is coming on in leaps and bounds. He's a really scary guy to face. He's got 56 RBIs already to go with 19 stolen bases. And here's something, I tried to look this up. I couldn't really find a lot of information, but he's going to go 20-20-20. He's going to have 20-plus doubles, 20-plus home runs, and 20-plus stolen bases. I don't remember the last player to do that. And so that alone is kind of rarefied air, and I'm really excited to see how Mac continues and to see where he goes in the draft. He's pushing his name up the board significantly.
The show's always a good show, and the Horizon League is mentioned as someone who spent quite a bit of time doing Wisconsin-Milwaukee sports back in the day. And you're talking about Jake Shirk at Wright State, your Rawlings pitcher of the week. Shirk, amazing. And he's a guy who's, had a pretty pedestrian but successful college career as a mid-major, but not this week. And his strikeout to walk through the year is incredible.
Yeah. So, Jake, I think, is a guy that probably should be garnering some attention from professional scouts because he's a mid-90s arm. He's got an advanced feel for his changeup. His changeup's a plus pitch. From a right-hander, you don't often see power fastball changeup combo. It's usually backed up by a breaking ball, but that's what he goes to a lot. And, he really kind of put everything together this last weekend in a big matchup with Oakland. And Oakland is much improved, but went 9 innings, only gave up 1 hit, faced 1 guy above the minimum, no walks and 14 punch-outs. So he pushed his record to 4-4 on the year. And you know what? I think if he can continue, then you're going to see Wright State do what they typically do and win that regular season in the Horizon League.
Oakland, in the suburbs of Detroit City, USA, a fine university, and another used to be in the Summit. They're now in that Horizon League. They actually outdraw the Major League Oakland team, the Athletics. I'd like to check in with you on 2 interviews. Just a terrible dad joke. I'd like to check in on 2 players that we had as guests on this show because your perspective on them means a lot to us. And they're 2 players that are really special. The first one is Duke's Alec Mooney. And Alex was a perfect game All-American Classic MVP. Michigan kid, goes to Duke. His numbers are silly this year. We loved our conversation, but from a college scouts perspective, who is Alex right now as a baseball player?
Alex is the man when it comes to Duke University baseball. When he showed up to campus, that kind of signaled to the world that, you know what, Duke is not just a splash in the pan, had a good year, and a few years back is like, you know what, they have staying power. And I think Chris Pollard, when I talked to him about it, how excited he was that Alex was showing up on campus, couldn't be understated. Or overstated, I guess would be the proper way to describe it. But Alex plays the game with unbelievable passion. He really leads that team. He's had some massive, massive hits in the last couple of weeks. He had a walk-off grand slam 2 weekends ago. And the way he goes about his business, he's professional, but he is fun. My son, Jacob Cozart, had a chance to play with him in the Cape last summer, and he said, Dad, he is the most hilarious guy to be around. He's serious when he's on the field, but he is so good for us in the dugout because he keeps things light. And, you keep hearing that word resonate with Duke. Fun. We're having fun. We're enjoying what we're doing. Of course, when you're winning, you're having fun, but that engine is being driven by what Alex Mooney does. He's an elite defender. His power is really playing at another level right now, and he's pushing himself up back into the first round, sandwich pick, high second round consideration from a professional draft standpoint right now. Really neat to see him really come into his own.
And the other one that we chatted with, and I love connecting with Enrique Bradfield Jr. at Vanderbilt for a variety of reasons. Remember him back when he's in high school at Perfect Game events. There was class then, there's class now, but along with all that class is one heck of a college career with Bradfield.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 80 speed. You don't often hear 80 put on any tool, but, his foot speed is undeniable. His power is playing better this year. Again, another guy that's really maximizing himself in his draft year. Neat story about Enrique Bradfield Jr. Last year, I was on the field in the fall when North Carolina hosted Vanderbilt for a fall scrimmage. I was around the batting cage during live BP and was just taking videos, tried to stay out of the way. And Enrique Bradfield Jr. came like beeline. He had no idea who I was. He just knew I was on the field. And he came right up to me, looked me in the eye, introduced himself, asked who I was. And, we kind of had a conversation right there. But that's him. Just unbelievable persona. What a great presence. He has such charisma. He's just a special human being and a lot of fun to be around. But most kids, they let you go about your business when you're on the field filming or whatever. And he, just got out of his shell and said, hey, who are you? And glad to meet you. So that was really, really neat. And that talks about the character that he has, but special player. Going to be interested to see where he lands in the draft coming up. And Vanderbilt looks like they're going to be a host once again. So he's going to have an opportunity to take them back to Omaha.
Visit perfectgame.org for this type of coverage. Vinny Servino, Craig Cozart do an amazing job of college coverage. We're lucky to have you guys on each and every week. Cozy, thanks for spending time with us.
Thanks so much, Daron. Appreciate it.
So we want to thank Alex Mooney and Enrique Bradfield as well for joining us on this show. We love that we have this show. We love that you watch, devoted to the athletes, the coaches, the families that get them there, that surround college baseball as we get closer to the postseason. My name is Daron Sutton. Enjoy all the games this week. This has been Perfect Game College Baseball on Perfect Game TV.